public advertisement with sufficient notice herein to the Home News Tribune. 2, filing advance written notice of the meeting with the city clerk's office. And 3, posting this notice on the public website of the Housing Authority. During the meeting, participants, including members of the public, may be muted by the host. However, there will be an opportunity for them to participate and speak during the public portion of the meeting, where participants will be unmuted at their request. Ready for the roll?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Commissioner Caldwell. I see some people came on here. No. Commissioner Walde.
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani.
Yes.
Commissioner Cepeda.
Yes, here.
Commissioner Dunlap. Commissioner Dunlap, I see you on here. Commissioner Dunlap? Oh, you were on here. Oh, there's Commissioner Wright. I see you. Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Yes, okay. And Chair?
Yes.
Okay, we have a quorum.
Okay, move on to Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge of allegiance to the flag.
United States of
America, to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible,
with
liberty,
and justice for all.
for all.
Chair, you have action for the minutes of the last meeting,
Yeah.
April's board meeting.
Yes. Okay. Can I get a motion?
I make a motion to accept.
Second.
Second.
Okay,
Ready for the roll?
yes, ready for the roll.
Commissioner Walde,
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani,
Yes.
Commissioner Cepeda,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunlap. Is Commissioner Dunlap? Oh, I don't see him on there now. Okay, I'm gonna leave that as open. Commissioner Wright
Yes.
and Chair.
Yes,
Okay. Chair, you want to do a public comment section now, or do you want to do the, jump right into the resolutions?
no, let's jump in right into the resolutions, please.
Okay, resolution number 16 is a resolution acting as redevelopment agency, a resolution approving NJ Innovations Associates LLC as redeveloper for property known as block 17.01, lot 1.03 on the New Brunswick tax map for construction of a New Jersey Innovations and Technology Hub and Rutgers Translation Research Facility and Medical School, consisting of approximately 550,000 square feet of on property located in the Farron redevelopment plan area, and approving a redevelopment agreement between the redevelopment agency and redeveloper. You need an action in a second, and then we can open it.
Yes,
I'll make a motion to accept.
Second.
Second was
Okay.
Cepeda, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Okay,
John,
Chair,
I
we have
think-
John Hoffman here, who's special counsel for the Housing Authority.
Good evening, everybody. This application is very similar to the application approved by the redevelopment agency on January 26, 2022. And the redevelopment agreements are also similar to the agreements you approved. The Transitional Research Medical School building is located on block 1701, lot 301, which contains approximately 1.1 acres. The building will now measure 550,000 square feet, including the New Jersey Innovation and Technology Hub, consisting of 140,000 square feet, approximately 245,000 square feet of the Transitional Research Facility for Rutgers Biomedical and Health Sciences, the Academic Healthcare Umbrella Organization of Rutgers University, consisting of specialty research space, offices, and laboratories, and a new medical school building for Rutgers University, consisting of approximately 165,000 square feet. The primary difference between the original building and this building is that the medical school has been moved to the site we'll talk about next, the second site to become part of this site, making this building go from about 415,000 square feet to 550,000 square feet. The redeveloper is an affiliate of DEFCO, which is the sole member of the Innovation Associates, and there has been a whole list of construction of redevelopment projects in New Brunswick. I'm sure all of you are aware of those. This project will cost $690 million, as opposed to the original project costing $530 million, and will be funded through a combination of equity, debt, and governmental grants, and construction will commence within 12 months from the date of the agreement and be completed within 33 months after the beginning of construction. The timing for the original project was to begin 18 months from the date of the agreement. So this 12 months, since one is January and this is June, it's basically the same time for starting construction. The redevelopment agreements are basically the same. The only thing that really changes is the description of the project, the timing of the project, and the cost of the project. It has the usual escrow provisions, insurance provisions, indemnities, restrictions on transfers, developer covenants, default, and remedy clauses. The resolution that you're asked to approve does the following. It de-designates New Jersey Innovation Associates as redeveloper for the original project and now designates them as redeveloper for the new project, which I described. And it approves the redevelopment agreement between the Housing Authority and New Jersey Innovation Associates in substantially the form attached here too. I would present are Charles Lieveling, the attorney for the redeveloper, and Chris Palladino, the president of DEFCO, to describe the project and answer any of your questions. I'll turn it over to either Chuck or Chris, whoever wants to take it next.
Thank you.
Chuck, go.
Chris, are you gonna go next? You want to answer?
I don't know. Did
Here we
Chuck?
go.
Did you
I
want
was-
to start? Okay.
I was muted.
I don't like to steal my lawyer's thunder, Chairman.
Yeah. Chris-
Okay, thank you.
Do you want to, or will your presentation be unified, or do you want to focus first on one because Mr. Hoffman did not get into the second.
No, I asked John Clark that, and he said that they wanted to separate both applications.
Yeah, we need to keep them separate because of the transactions, Chuck.
Okay.
So,
All right, so Chris, let's just talk about the first building.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I'm going to do it?
Oh yeah, I don't have it. I mean, I don't.
You have nothing to add? Okay.
Just Mr. Hoffman, you've got the color.
Thank you, commissioners. Thank you, Chairwoman, Mr. Clark. This application is very similar to the last time we were before you. The components are the same, but we've now, through some design alternatives, have put the medical school in the same building as translational research. We really did that for three reasons. Number one, in our discussions with Rutgers, in our discussions with people at the medical school and people at
Hey,
RBHS,
John.
there
Yeah.
I'm
was-
sorry, Chris. Can everyone please go on mute? The only one that I should be hearing right now is Chris speaking. Thank you very much. Go ahead.
there was a real interest in not only talking to our architects who have done a number of these buildings, but also in the other facilities that university representatives have visited throughout the country, of putting translational researchers, those people who are doing research that is ready to take therapies, medications, medical devices, and other healthcare type of research from the bench to the bedside in the same building with medical students. They believe that their ability to interact, to collaborate, to actually encourage medical students to some of them to become PhDs and take up medical research is a very value-added proposition to their education and potentially to the university to encourage students who come to the Robert Wood Johnson Medical School to pursue residencies here in New Brunswick, either at Robert Wood Johnson University Hospital or St. Peter's, and to continue their education into various areas of research. It just strengthens our move towards creating an academic medical center in New Brunswick and becoming the center of medical research and clinical care in the state of New Jersey. So that was the first reason. The second reason was there was a number of duplication of spaces, particularly in all three components, the Innovation Hub, the Translational Research Center, and the medical school, that we were able to save space. We took a number of the medical school larger spaces, double height spaces, where you can seat 200 or 400 people at a time, and realized that those facilities that are not used all day could actually become meeting spaces for the other two components. So not only was it creating collaboration a different type of energy, but was also creating economies of space for Rutgers and for the Innovation Hub. And the third reason, and probably the most exciting one over the long period of time, is that it does free up the second phase, the second component of this application, for a private sector building that will continue to build the ecosystem, which we hope to build here, where private sector scientists, academic researchers, medical students, and startups and entrepreneurs are all working at this site. So it was a home run. This building has become more efficient. It's become larger. Maybe just quickly roll through it, Marissa, just to remind you of what we're doing. Do you have the ability to do that, Marissa? Or not? There we go. You see the building. The building on the right is the building which is subject to this application. It's going to be identified as Rutgers Health and the New Jersey Innovation Hub. You can see from here the large public space between the buildings. We're in the process of now designing those public spaces that will have a variety of different interactive and passive opportunities for the general public, not only people working in the building. Go ahead, Merce. And this is the site plan. Shows you basically that the building hasn't really changed in its footprint from the last time we're here. Next, Merce. And then, so the ground floor stays basically the same. There's a large market hall, which will be have food available not only to people who and refreshments not only to the people who work in the building, but to the general public. It's a large open space. It has meeting spaces in it, glass meeting spaces that you can reserve for lunchtime meetings, and it'll be open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It kind of will be an exciting public space for people to have large gatherings, conferences, those types of things. There's a opportunity for a restaurant and retail space. There's a large lobby. There's makerspace that is not only open to people who work in the building, in the Innovation Center, the medical school, and the translational research, but we actually think that will be open to other members of the public who are actually into design and need to use equipment that they may not be able to always have. Then there's the normal loading, unloading, chemical storage, and the core of the building. Next slide. This is a typical research floor. There's several of these. We've designed it as neighborhoods, so there are wet labs, and I'm colorblind. So in the corner here, along the Paseo and along the back piece, there are wet labs and support spaces. Along Kirkpatrick, there's wet labs and support spaces. There are various neighborhoods for the scientists to have their offices, their write-up desks, their research assistants, their PhD candidates working close to the laboratories. And then there will be some very significant social, collaborative, kind of respite spaces that services the entire floor, with each one of these floors connecting to the other floors by a very kind of large grand staircase. And again, as you know, Marissa and I particularly have gone and looked at these facilities up and down the East Coast, in Philadelphia and New York, and particularly in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And there's really an emphasis on design of letting scientists who work in wet labs, dry labs, who are doing various types of research to actually collaborate, to share ideas, to talk about solutions with each other. So we're going to try and do as much as we can to facilitate that. Next. This is just an example of the larger spaces in the medical school. There's an interactive classroom, which basically works where students, 5 or 6 medical students are working as a team. There is a 400-person meeting space that can be divided into 2. This allows each M1 and M2, each class at the medical school has approximately 175 students. So this allows them to bring each entire class together for a session or both classes together for a larger session. Something that I just think needs to be noted, medical education is changing significantly. And back in the day, and it's why that, it really it was fine to be in Piscataway. First year and second year medical students spent all of their time in the classroom, in the anatomy lab, in skills labs, in simulation labs. Now, right from day one, you're spending some time in clinical environments, either in the clinical academic building or in the hospital. So this puts those students just a block away and makes it much more efficient for scheduling. They've got some great spaces in this building. The first and second floor of the medical school is connected by something we call the forum, which is a large open staircase where students can read, just have conversation, have coffee, kind of looking out at the train station. But it's a big, open, wide, expansive place for people to relax. It could also be used for gatherings and for lectures and those other types of things. Go ahead, Maris. And then this is a example of our innovation space. There are wet labs, there's lab support, there's dry labs, there's studio spaces. And then on each floor, we have space for our core partners. So here it's the EDA and Hackensack Meridian. On another floor, it is Robert Wood Johnson Barnabas Health, and DevCo and Princeton University are all have their own spaces on these floors. So that's it, right, Rich?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, why don't you just go to the next thing?
Just the slide for the next.
And this is the slide for the next application. While it's here, I'll just talk about it. Then you can ask questions later. This shows you the research and office building, the floor plate. It's approximately 35,000 square feet. We've been talking about in our agreement with the parking authority in the city, a minimum of a 300,000 square foot building. We're talking with a number of potential users in the marketplace right now who are interested in doing both office and research on the site. I really do believe that this will be a combination of private sector scientists from one company, possibly a number of companies, and then some dry lab and support spaces. So that's our presentation. Again, simply, we're taking our two past applications and putting them then into one building, freeing up an entire additional site for development, the next stage of development. So if there's any questions, obviously Marissa and I and Charles are here to answer those.
There.
I have,
Are there any questions?
yes, same.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there any cost increase because of the change in plan?
Actually, the building is more expensive because it's much larger.
Okay.
But there is actually cost efficiencies to all three components, because we're sharing some spaces now. So each of our users, the Innovation Hub, the Translational Research, and the Medical School, are slightly smaller if we had built them separately, because we're sharing some spaces now. Sharing foundations, sharing cores, not having to build additional elevators.
So they are sharing the cost too, right?
Correct.
Oh, okay.
I mean, the building's probably right now. I know Mr. Hoffman said $690 million. It's probably about $705 million today.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I had one more question. Was the parking, I know that was a question last time, was that being revisited, or, just providing spaces?
For the first phase, and we're finishing a parking study now that not only looks at this building, looks at the hospital system, and looks at the parking authority, is that we have sufficient parking in this system. Of course, when we go on to the second phase, and then there'll be a third phase of this project, that we're going to have to revisit it. If you talk to Mr. Palomina at the county, who is leading up the city data project and the autonomous vehicle project with Rutgers, he tells us that we don't need to worry about cars because we're all going to come in autonomous vehicles, light rail, and on the train. But I think that we're going to need an additional parking facility in the city at some point.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, John?
Ready for the vote, Chair?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Walde,
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani,
Yes.
Commissioner Cepeda,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunlap. Commissioner Dunlap?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Wright
Yes.
and Chair.
Yes.
Okay, ready for the next resolution, Chair?
Yes.
Resolution 17, acting as redevelopment agency, is a resolution approving Downtown Hub Associates 2 LLC as redeveloper for property known as Block 17.01, lots 1.02 and Block 17.02, lots 1.04 on the New Brunswick tax map for development and construction of a research office building and additional improvements on property located in the Farron redevelopment plan area, and approving a redevelopment agreement between the redevelopment agency and redeveloper. You need a action, Chair?
Yes. Can I get a motion?
Motion to move? Yes.
Second?
Second.
Okay.
Mr. Hoffman, you want to go into this one?
Yes, this application deals with the property, as Mr. Palladino said, where the medical school was planned. Now it's going to be an office research center on the front of the site, which will consist of approximately 300,000 square feet. The application and the redevelopment agreement are similar, except to the extent of the difference in the square footage, the cost of construction, and the construction time periods. The project is also along French Street, and there will be other phases of the project. And if you looked at that map, it said future development in the back. Though under those instances, the redeveloper will have to come back to the redevelopment agency for approval of whatever the particular projects would be, with a description of the project, the cost estimate, and a construction period estimate, all the things we would normally get at this point. Right now, they're being approved just for the 300,000 square foot office research building. The building is estimated to cost around 270 million, but knowing Mr. Palladino, he'll probably tell me 300 million when he gets to speak about it. And they be funded by a combination of debt, equity, and grants. And construction will start within 24 months of the execution of the agreement and should be complete, the office research, within 33 months. DEFCO, as in the other project, is the sole member of the developer, and as you're aware, has done extensive redevelopment work in Brunswick. The redevelopment agreement is similar, except for the construction time periods, the size of the project, and the financing of the project. All the required clauses are in the agreement. The resolution de-designates the redeveloper from the original project and designates them for this project. And it also then approves the redevelopment agreement in substantially the form annexed here too. And I'll turn it over to Chuck Liebling or Chris Baldino if they want to add anything to that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. I know you started briefly reviewing the second building there, but maybe we can just add a little more color.
Yeah, this is actually very, I mean, again, it was the third kind of leg to the stool of why we made this move to create the larger building on the first site. It does give us the opportunity to build another building, which we anticipate would be almost entirely, if not entirely, a private sector investment. It's rather exciting, and something I didn't mention in the first instance, but it's relative to this. Rutgers is going to be moving 800 principal investigators into this building. We expect 75% of those people that are currently kind of in the recruitment cycle. Each principal investigator comes with significant NIH and other type of third-party research grants and brings research teams somewhere between 6 and 10 people. That along with our startups, that along with the people from the medical school, is that we expect in the first building more than 1,200 people to work at all hours of the day, but actually creating as what we kind of always refer to as an ecosystem where the private sector and the public sector are collaborating on the next level of innovation in New Jersey, the region, and the state, and creating jobs that spin off. We find that 20 of companies that are started in incubators like this, that come from academic research, that move into a startup facility, they locate within 15 miles of where they're founded. And that's where they grow, that's where they hire people, that's where they do their initial public offering, and that's where they kind of thrive. We have found since the ceremonial groundbreaking of this project and the addition of the medical school and the translational research, an extraordinary amount of interest in this second site. And that was one of the reasons we really had hoped that we would be able to kind of free this site up. I think it's either going to be a large biotech or pharmaceutical company, which probably would be a household name. It may be a company like a large biotech or pharmaceutical company that has completed an acquisition of another company and is looking to bring it to New Jersey and to continue R&D. We've had a number of companies that we have spoken with, particularly because of the investment being done at the Cancer Institute of people who are doing oncology research that would like to be able to partner with the university. And then we've also have a number of kind of the larger equity players who build 300,000 square feet on spec and are looking to fit out laboratory spaces for 20, 40, 100,000 square feet and have multiple users. We think there's a lot of direction we go here. And as we refine and break ground on the next project, I'm pretty optimistic that this project will follow very quickly, creating jobs, creating people coming to New Brunswick, going to restaurants, renting apartments, buying homes, and going to the Performing Arts Center, using the hotels, and continuing to make New Brunswick the vibrant place that it is. So we're excited about it, and we think that this redevelopment plan and agreement in partnership with the view of this authority are doing something that is truly historic. Look, in the block next to this building, the Johnson brothers and Fred Kilmer and Thomas Edison used to have lunch in Fred Kilmer's pharmacy and talk about innovation, talk about American manufacturing, and talking about the various inventions that they were working on. And we think this brings New Brunswick back to be the center of innovation and helps New Jersey kind of reclaim its rightful place as kind of the innovation state.
Thank you. Are there any additional questions? Okay. All right, John?
Ready for the vote, Chair?
Yes.
Commissioner Walde,
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani,
Yes.
Commissioner Cepeda,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunglap,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
and Chair.
Yes.
All right, motion passes. Thank you all. Chair, you want me to continue?
Yes, please.
Okay, resolution number 18 is a resolution ratifying, authorizing, and approving the payment of bills for the month of April 2022.
I need a motion,
Motion.
a second.
Second.
Okay, John, go ahead.
I'm sorry, seconded Commissioner Cepeda?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Walde? On the payment of bills, Commissioner Walde? Commissioner Walde? Are you here?
No, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I see, yes.
Mute. Yeah, mute. Yeah,
Payment of bills, yes?
yeah.
Okay, Commissioner Giorgiani,
Yes.
Commissioner Cepeda,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunglap,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
and Commissioner Medina, a chair.
Yes.
All right, resolution number 19 is a resolution adopting, accepting, revising payment standards for the Housing Choice Voucher Program for the Housing Authority, for the New Brunswick Housing Authority.
Motion.
Second? Is there a second?
Second.
Okay,
I'm sorry, that was Commissioner Wallace? Dunlap?
Dunlap.
Okay,
Dunlap, yes.
thank you, Wallace.
No
Chair,
problem.
as you know, we spoke about this briefly
yes.
before the payment, the HUD fair market rents, FMR, are, we believe, woefully underestimated. In order to reset the market, this allows us to bring the value of the housing choice vouchers up to 110% of that FMR, of which we have funds available to cover. And it also allows and directs me within the next time frame to solicit and send HUD a notice requesting a consideration to go up to 120%. Even at 120%, I believe the fair market rent amounts are not real market because they are done on regional and national studies that have little knowledge of sort of the nuances of cities, towns, and areas. So we are very confident that HUD will be receptive to that. I know of housing authorities in the state of New Jersey who have already petitioned and received waivers, allowing them to go to the 120% number. They're having a little bit more success now with those actual components in allowing tenants vouchers to be able to put into place. Simply put, I think this will give people who are on our voucher program more ability to rent units in areas that they want to live in.
All right. Okay. Are there any questions for John?
Commissioner Walde has a question.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's fine.
John, how come they didn't do the evaluation by region?
I don't know. You have to recall, we're still feeling the effects of the previous administration who lowered FMRs for the first time in HUD's entire history.
Oh, okay.
So the correction of the current administration that kind of brought them back into lower reality still hasn't brought them into reality. And because everything is done through the congressional appropriations, you get an amount that the study is done, and then they say, well, it's prorated to the new FMR, and the new FMR ends up being, usually it ends up in most cases being a little bit higher in normal years or administrations. It's just that the last previous component, there was no, it went down, and I don't, and so, there is a study ongoing right now, Yurgo, that we've been screaming, and housing authorities have been saying the market is just far exceeded the abilities of the FMRs. That's why most housing authorities that I know have either gone to 110 or going to 110 and petitioning to go to 120. There's a housing authority in North Bergen that's petitioned to go to 140. And even at 140, they don't think they're going to be competitive. So you can't necessarily ask for it unless you have the reserves or amounts to support it, and we do. So I think we're well positioned to be able to do that. I think we should do that. I think it's a value to the clients that we service. And I think it will give our affordable housing tenants with vouchers more ability to rent units in the areas that they want to live. Not necessarily that they may have to live or can only afford, because the voucher only pays up to a certain cap.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Okay.
Ready, Chair?
Yes.
Commissioner Walde,
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani,
Yes.
Mr. Cepeda,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunlap,
Yes.
Mr. Wright,
Yes.
and Chair.
Yes.
All right, resolution number 20 is a resolution adopting and approving the interagency shared service agreement between New Brunswick Housing Authority and the City of New Brunswick.
Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
So this has actually already been passed by the city. The city approached the Housing Authority a few months ago to discuss their Section 3 program and some Davis-Bacon compliance work, of which we're very familiar with, because we've gone through a number of components that have boated up that area. We do have staff here certified with some of the abilities to do the work. The city asked us if we would do this through a shared service agreement, essentially where they would pay the time at rate for our current employees that we have, or employee that we have, to do those reviews and certification and compliance reviews. And then we would essentially get that money at the housing authority. So the city would basically be paying the housing authority a fee for service to do the compliance reviews for that program. It's one of their smaller programs there. We do have the staffing components to do it, and we do have our staff are certified and able to provide that as a service. So it's a fee for service agreement, not to exceed $17,500 for the initial component. I don't anticipate it going above that, but the revenue is great. We're able to take that in. It'll become part of our program funds and allow us to then, also utilize some of the staff and their abilities to help out the city in this situation.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, John.
Ready? Commissioner Walde,
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani,
Yes.
Mr. Cepeda,
Abstain.
abstain. Chair, you're accepting that, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Dunlap,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
and Chair.
Yes.
That's all I had, Chair.
Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, so now we open up for public comment. And do we have any for public comment? John, is there anyone for public comment?
I don't see any hands, Chair.
Okay. All right. Okay, so no one for public comment. Okay. All right.
There are no closed session items that I have, Chair.
Okay, no closed session items. Okay.
Move.
Okay, so we can get a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Okay, a second.
Second.
Okay,
Ready for the vote, Chair?
yes.
Commissioner Walde,
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani,
Yes.
Commissioner Cepeda,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunlap,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
and Chair. All right, everybody,
Yes.
have a good day.
All right.
Thank you very
Good
much.
night,
Good one,
Thank you.
Enjoy
everyone.
your weekend.
All right,
Thank
Enjoy your
you.
weekend.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you.